Hey guys, welcome to Brian's Man Cave. For today's flick pick, I'd like to talk about a movie that I like to watch in the 80s. There's a lot of movies I like to watch in the 80s. Ghostbusters is one of them. But this one is a little bit different. This is Crocodile Dundee. Now, there was a couple of movies actually in the series. There was a sequel, and then there was a third one that kind of snuck out in 2000, I think 2001. It was okay. I wasn't too crazy about it. But what I really want to talk about is the first one, because that's the one that I remember the most. And I actually don't even think I own a copy of it, but I've seen the movie so many times. And it's, probably from renting it or friends had it or whatever. I probably should get the DVD at some point in time. I just don't. I believe I don't have it. I got tons of video cassettes. I might have picked it up and forgot about it. But anyways, the plot, if you're not familiar with what Crocodile Dundee is, it's about a crocodile hunter type of guy who lives in the Australian Outback and gets attacked by a crocodile and survives. And his news reaches the United States, where a reporter decides to go to Australia to meet this guy and kind of do a story on him. It's a very simple plot right there. And where it gets interesting is she has to try and adapt to to being in the Outback, which is not an easy thing for somebody who's grown up in the city and is used to the city life. So essentially what happens is she almost gets killed by a crocodile. And he saves her, of course. Comes out of nowhere with this big giant knife and saves her. And so from that point, she decides that, maybe I should bring him back to the States, to New York, and so he could see how I live and, things like that. So that's where the movie actually gets interesting, is when he comes to the States. He doesn't really... He grew up in the bush, basically, so he doesn't really know too much about the American culture. So there's a lot of scenes where he doesn't understand just the way the traffic works, or when he goes into the hotel, he doesn't know what a bidet is. And I know not everybody knows what a bidet is anyways. I probably learned what it was just from that movie alone. And he tries to figure it out. First he sticks his foot in it, and then he realizes, oh, okay, it's for cleaning your backside. So he screams it out for the world to hear. It's just one of those scenes that always just makes me laugh. Then there's like a few scenes that people probably might not have seen the movie, but they're aware of this scene, and that would be because it would have been imitated on things like The Simpsons or Family Guy, or other types of pop culture. And that is where he and the reporter are walking down the street, and a mugger jumps out of nowhere with a switchblade in his hand, demanding that they hand over his wallet and his money and all that. So the reporter says, you better hand over your money. And he's like, why? And she's like, well, he's got a knife. And then he's like, looks at it. He's like, that's not a knife. And then he pulls out this massive, safari knife. I don't know what you call it. Big, massive. I would call it a Rambo knife, because that's what I'm used to. Rambo had the... And, of course, the guy looks at it, freaks, and runs away. Like, oh my god, look at this guy's packing this real blade. Not a little tiny, to him that would be a paring knife. And that's one of the more classic scenes of the movie. There's a few odd scenes that really stuck with me, like he goes into a bar with his, some of the buddies that he meets, and he starts talking to this lady, and he's really getting, into a conversation with her, and the guy's behind him laughing, and finally one of them pulls him aside and is like, that's not a woman. And so what he does, obviously he doesn't believe him. He's like, what are you talking about? It's not a woman. Or what he's calling a Sheila. And he goes up to her and grabs her in the crotch and finds out it's a man. And, of course, the look on the guy's face is just priceless. He's like, everybody else cracking up. And he's like, that's a man. I don't get it. Why is that man dressed like a woman? So it's one of those, it's another one of those scenes where it's just that whole culture shock, and that's what the movie is all about, and they do it quite well. Just the things that we take, for granted in our normal lives are not so normal to other people around the world. So when you throw them into these environments, and vice versa, you get this type of thing. And this is nothing new. I mean, I'm sure it was done in the past, and there's even newer movies that are very much the same idea. If I were to take two off the top of my head right now, that would be Borat for one, with Sacha Baron Cohen. And we all know that that's, part of his shtick was creating all these characters and, putting them into an environment where they would be completely out of place. And that was the whole fun part of the movie, as far as Borat was concerned. And the other one I was thinking, and probably because, Christmas just passed, for me anyways, Elf. Very similar storyline. Will Ferrell's character, Buddy, who lives in the North Pole, he's an elf, and then he moves to New York, and or he's looking for his father in New York, and goes through very similar situations where he doesn't understand the culture, he doesn't understand what's going on, and, it just plays on like that. There were two other movies, of course, I said that before. Crocodile Dundee 2, which came out. Crocodile Dundee came out, 86? And then 2 came out in 88, so it was about a year and a half of, difference. And what they did in part 2 is they kind of flipped it around. So they start off in the Outback. They start off in New York, and then they go to the Outback. So Paul Hogan, the guy who plays Crocodile Dundee, actually, in real life, ended up marrying his co-star in the movie. So during that time frame, they were actually married in real life, and so they ended up doing a lot of the films together. So the second one, it's the same concept, but they're in the second one they're a couple, and she gets into trouble with some drug lords. It takes a more serious tone. And in order for him to protect her, he takes her back to Australia into the Outback, where it's his stomping ground. And the movie's a little bit darker tone, a little bit more serious. The jokes aren't as there. It's more taking her out of the elements and putting her into the Outback and seeing how she can handle that kind of environment. I mean, it's an alright movie. The third one that came out, the one in 2001, that's where he's in Los Angeles. I believe it's just called Crocodile Dundee in Los Angeles. Okay. Again, I think they really just tried to rehash what the first one did. Only instead of New York, it's Los Angeles. The jokes were alright. Not one of my favorite. I've probably seen the movie like twice. Yeah, so anyways, I mean, it's a great flick. It takes me back. Every time I watch it, I still laugh. It's still funny. It brought the Australian kind of culture to America, or to Canada, and got us saying the "g'day mates" and all that stuff. Anyways, let me know what you think of the video. Let me know if you've seen Crocodile Dundee or any of the sequels, or what you thought of them, because I think they're interesting, and it'd be interesting if he actually did another one. I don't know if he's ever planned on doing anything else. I looked him up on IMDb to see what he's been doing, and it looks like he's been doing, other kinds of like TV series and movies. So you never know. I mean, if Mr. Bean can make comebacks, why not Paul Hogan? Anyways, hope you liked the video. Hope you subscribe. Talk to you later. Thank you for watching Brian's Man Cave, and to all those who have subscribed to my channel, and to all those who like to leave comments. Just as a reminder, I also have a page called Man Cave Connections. This is where you have a chance to show off your own man cave or woman cave, and also look at others. Just simply go to www.briansmancave.com for details, and you'll see a menu item which says Man Cave Connections.